This song is called Thunder and Lightning. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I heard the thunder and lightning struck by your tower today, and though the world wasn't frightened, you sent the whole world away, and now you huddle there alone in your tower of tears, every step and every stone filled with millions of fears, your poison blood and brittle bones clutter and crack beneath your hell of a home. Cut down by the crew and the cracks fall, catch up from the mighty and high, ain't nowhere left for the good to go, no truth in a world full of lies. I run from giving fettered foes, rumbling, stumble around, gather all the greed to go back to their hole in the ground. Wash their hands of all the blood, beg, borrow and stole, keep a good man down. Shake the hands of Holy Ghost, dance along in every coast, share your flesh with passing shadows on a bed of broken hopes. Be sure to breathe in deeply every bit of sin that your lungs can hold. Welcome all your bastard actions back home. Why did we cry eyes out and go low and graze, mourning all the times we woulda, coulda, shoulda had our way. We were hard-hearted heathens to their soul-saving saints, spilling blood in the same God's holy name. We were the heathens to their saints, spilling blood in the same God's holy name. Shake the hands of Holy Ghost, dance along in every coast, share your flesh with passing shadows on a bed of broken hopes. Be sure to breathe in deeply every bit of sin that your lungs can hold. Welcome all your bastard actions back home.
Thanks for tuning into 89.9 FM KGPR-Great Falls. I'm Mr. Douglas, and with me today is David Lamb, who along with upright bass-playing Morgan Eve Swain make up Tiny Rhode Island's Brown Bird. The duo is celebrating the upcoming release of the album Fits of Reason.
What were some of the elements that you really drew from when you both went into the studio to start writing these tracks?
Let's see. We both listened to tons of international music, but I'd say every song kind of has its own feel. So I mean, we're drawing from all over the place. There's one song that's very Andrews Sisters inspired, and then there's we've been listening to a lot of sort of psych rock and folk rock from the 60s and 70s all over the world. We have this great compilation of stuff from India, stuff from Pakistan. I've been checking out more and more Central Asian music, and so all that stuff. Plus, we both were kind of metalheads at heart too. So we love a lot of stuff like Mastodon, and then just some of the more classic metal like Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and stuff like that. So that all mixed in with the sort of roots and blues country stuff that we've always loved. I'd say those were kind of the inspirations, and each song kind of brings out different styles in those I guess in those inspirations.
So basically, every style of music that man has ever created was inspiration. Everything.
You might be able to say that, yeah. I mean,
everything from the Andrews Sisters to Mastodon.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Well,
and if you want to complete the alphabet, you could go right through the ZZ Top too, and throw it all in there. Listen to them too.
There you go. What? Going off of that too, lyrically, what was your mindset when you were putting that together?
Lyrically, it's kind of a different thing, I guess. I've been reading a lot of. There's a heavy Thomas Paine influence. I've been reading The Age of Reason that I find pretty fascinating, and I'm sort of just starting to get into him, his philosophy, his form of deism, and I think a lot of that is kind of a reaction to the way I was raised. As my dad was a minister, and I guess every album, the lyrics tend to somehow come back to those sort of theological or philosophical sort of battles, and this is sort of a different step, I guess. I've been trying to just broaden my horizons of different philosophies out there in the world. I've been reading a little bit more of some atheist writers like Christopher Hitchens and stuff like that, just to broaden the palette and take other perspectives in. So I'd say a lot of that kind of reading has come into play with the lyrics.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Hitchens, because that's I think that's my favorite track off the album.
Nice.
Yeah, it has such a chill jam on it, which is actually very common throughout this record. So kind of going off of that, how much fun do you both have in the studio when things are just clicking between your two, and you're coming up with little jams like that?
It's definitely fun. It can be a challenge. I would say the most fun that we have is the actual process of writing the songs and pulling them together. It can be a little bit challenging in the studio because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we work with people. The recording engineers at Machines with Magnets are definitely the kind of engineers that kind of expect the best from you, and we love that. So if the take wasn't, we didn't do much in the real live way this time, where we just got in the room, played it, and picked the best take. We definitely worked to kind of make sure it was all coming together. A song like Hitchens in particular is like, for me as a guitarist and doing the percussion, it was a really tough one to do the guitar and the percussion at the same time, because the rhythms are pretty different. So, that one kind of, it took some work. I'll be honest, it took some work, but we were really happy with the results. And yeah.
so hard to believe that when your ship comes into shore, after life is only death forevermore. Any truth we can't conceive is just the surface of its source. For every mind a frame of reference there is born.
For those of you who just joined us, we're talking to Brown Bird frontman David Lamb.
We'll talk about the foot percussion a little bit because it's fascinating. I mean, how difficult is it to sing, play guitar, work the percussion, all that at the same time? Because it kind of reminds me of like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where he'd have like a harmonica and the drums around his chest, and he's got the cymbals and he's got horns on his knees, and you know it's got some contraption tied to himself. So it kind of, it's like there's so much going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely a strong tradition of one-man bands. I mean, in this country, probably in other countries too. I'm not that familiar or educated in that, but there's some great blues players that hooked up some pretty crazy foot contraptions to, you know, kick pedals that would slap upright bass notes and stuff like that. So I can't say that, like, you know, that was my big inspiration, but I think for me it was that I started out on drums and started, you know, picking up the guitar and doing songwriting later on, but I always heard the rhythms as well, and I didn't want to lose that. So when I would put songs together and write them, I'd try to figure out how to get it all in there at the same time. And over the years, I think after practicing it more and more, I've been able to incorporate things that are a little bit more intricate rather than just a regular boom chick sort of beat, and it's been a great challenge. I definitely enjoy it. It's got its ups and downs. I think sometimes, you know, when a musician can really focus on one instrument or one aspect, I think they can really excel. So it's been difficult to try to excel at several things at once, but it's been a great challenge, and I think it's fun. I enjoy sitting in my room and coming up with parts that go together, and if I can't get it right away, I love like just taking a day or two to like really strip it down and try to make it happen.
How much concentration is involved though? Because, like, you know, you are doing, you know, you're thinking lyrics, you're thinking chords on the guitar, and also which pedal to hit on the floor. I mean, do you have to go in a zone where you basically just tune everything out in the world?
Yeah, that's actually, this all kind of ties back in around to what makes it difficult in the studio as well. It takes a lot of concentration for a while, but just like anything, the more and more you do it, the more comfortable and the more second nature it becomes. So inevitably with brand new songs, you haven't been out on the road touring them for a year before you go into the studio. So the studio sessions are always like tons of concentration. You're really trying to focus on it. But then once you've been out and you've played night after night the same stuff, it starts to become second nature, and you can really just sort of get into the zone, get in the mood of the song, and maybe focus more on the lyrics and the content of the lyrics, or, you know, whatever aspect it is that you feel drawn into at that time. But yeah, for a while, like when you're getting up and going and working on these songs, it definitely takes a ton of concentration to keep it together.
there's a hypnotic vibe to this group, like especially when you listen to the music on this new album as a whole, instead of just passing through like on an iPod mix or something like that. How important is it for you to have a record where people will want to pop it in, press play, put on some headphones, and take it all in, instead of something that is just part of a shuffle on somebody's MP3 player?
To me, it's very important, mainly just because that's how I love to listen to music. I used to listen to records. I love the art of the album. There's a lot of thought and planning that musicians will put into it. Some more than others, but it usually is. This is a collection of songs at a given time that this artist has put together for some reason, but it's sort of, in a way, it's almost like a tattoo. It's like this is a moment in time that you'll remember, later on down the line. We were just talking about this the other day. If you look at different artists, like Radiohead's a great example. Where they started out and where they ended up. If you listen to those two albums back to back, it's like, wow, this doesn't even sound like the same band. But if you go through and listen to each, album in consecutive order, you're like, wow, I can see the progression here. I can see where they were moving and how they were growing. And I think an album itself can be that way too. So to me, the art of the album is very important. I understand that it's not that way for everyone, especially today in the digital music age. But we definitely try to put as much thought and effort and try to focus on that when we put an album together. We want it to be diverse too, so you don't feel like you're just listening to different versions of the same song over and over again on an album. That way each song has its own importance and meaning.
those of you who just joined us, we're talking to Brown Bird frontman David Lamb.
Now, I read that Seven Hells is the first time you've busted out electric guitar on a recording. Is that true? That's hard to believe.
I mean, technically, actually the very first Brown Bird album, I guess, or EP that we ever did, which was like back in 2003, I think. I played electric guitar, but it was very sparse, very slow, very different kind of, just different. It was a lot more mellow music. And then it's been since then, I guess, that I've done electric guitar on one of our albums. So, I don't know. To me, it wasn't like a huge jump. There are some songs on Salt for Salt that I had originally written on electric guitar and just kind of converted to acoustic because it was just easier to bring one guitar out to tours. And then now, I think basically with the way we've been writing and things are getting a little bit more intricate, a little more guitar line and melody oriented, it just seemed to make a lot of sense to do it on the electric guitar because the melodies just pop out a lot more with an electric. On the acoustic, they tend to get lost, especially at a live show. And there's just a little more grit, a little more oomph behind the electric guitar. So we just decided to move in that direction.
Well, take me back to the beginning. I mean, how did you and Morgan Eve start jamming together as a duo and really start putting together this band?
Sure, yeah. We actually didn't meet until 2008. I'd been doing Brown Bird as a solo act for a while, and then as a different trio for about 5 years. And then the other members kind of had focused on their project. I did a solo tour with the album The Bottom of the Sea. And at the end of that tour, she was playing in a band called Barn Burning from Providence. And we did 3 shows together. And every night she would join me for a few songs. And at the end of those nights, she asked if I wanted a fiddle player full time. And I said, yeah, definitely. So she joined me for another tour, and we hit it off musically and romantically. And I decided to move to Rhode Island to be closer to her. And ever since then, we realized it was a really great pair, great combination.
Describe the chemistry you two share musically.
I think a lot of it has to do with our mindset with a couple things, our influences. We both love all kinds of music, and we're open to letting the different music that we listen to sort of influence our style and our approach to writing. And also, I mean, even just, she is a player who plays by ear. Neither of us read or write music, really. She had a little bit of training when she was younger, playing in different classical forms on violin, but she was originally trained by the Suzuki method, which is completely by ear. And that's just how she plays. And so, I don't know, in all those ways, I think when we get together and put something together, I mean, if I bring her a song and she immediately can feel kind of what I'm going for and jump right in and add parts. And she's a pretty incredible musician that way. It's great. So works well.
All bands, you have little arguments and issues as you tour and things, but usually you have 3 or 4 or 5 guys in the band, and you can kind of filter that out as you go along. But with just 2 of you, and especially being in a relationship, how important is it for the 2 of you to keep arguments or disagreements to a minimum on the road so that you can focus on the music?
Yeah, it's really important. I think it's a challenge, but it's also in a lot of ways makes it easier than it is to have your loved one back at home when you're on the road all the time. So we kind of just try to keep that in mind. One thing that we always have, keep in mind is that we're together constantly. Like when especially on tour, there's nowhere for you to go, and sometimes you just need a little bit of space, a little bit of personal time to go off and breathe your own air for a little bit, and then come back, and usually everything's fine. But I'm pretty amazed and surprised at how well we get along on tour. Of course, like you said, with any band members, there's going to be tension at times, and But I feel like we've done a really good job at being able to work out those issues and communicate about it and keep it going for the sake of the relationship and the band. So.
All right, we'd like to thank Brownbird frontman David Lamb for visiting with us today. Check out the band's new album, Fits of Reason, out in early April. Thank you for tuning in to 89.9 FM, KGPR-Great Falls. And we're going to close out the show with a song called Threads of Measure.
Shape-shifting morality.